Alright. So, what we're working on here is we're working on trying to get the Corsair pulled out of the house. And the way you do it on a solo pull is you want to snare the mob. And the Corsair proves to be more magic resistant than the Advisor. So, you may need to do it a couple of times. Not a big deal. I had the same issue with the Advisor doing the Corsair in this particular situation where she just kind of stood in front of the house. So there have been multiple times that I had to get up, walk forward a little bit, and not needing to walk forward to get aggro because the snare on her is a dot. So because that she social aggros, everything in the house will come back after me once I stand back up. So the idea behind this, outside of being patient, is you're wanting to walk her out from the house so that you can go ahead and get her distant enough away from the rest of the ads so that way you can get her as a solo pull. And you'll see that happen here in just a second, because as you continue to do it, even though you don't see it on your screen, she does move. And as you can see, I got 3 targets here this time, or 4 targets rather, than the rest of the house. So because that she's within distance from that house, I'll be able to go ahead and get her solo. This is very doable as a solo class, especially as a necro. I'm currently working on doing this for a friend in a different guild, but this is just a show as an educational purpose of how it can be done, and that it can be, it can be done. Don't necessarily need spells. If you have clickies that have snare, this is very doable. Once the mob falls below 98%, so once it gauges 97, which you'll see here in just a second, is that these mobs will summon. And so the summons happen every 10 seconds. 10 seconds seems pretty fast, but with all things considered, where you cast one spell, figure it takes you 3-4 seconds to get a spell off, get some distance between you and the mob, so you have your comfort area to be able to land the next spell, and basically you just kind of rinse and repeat as the fight goes on. With the Advisor though, the Advisor will start to heal himself, and he only uses a superior heal. He doesn't use a complete heal, and the heals start to go out when he falls below 40%, and it brings him up to about 74. He'll put out, I think it was 4 heals that he did it with me, before he finally stops healing himself. So it's very much a endurance fight. I have 10 AA spent on this necro, and for those who are not familiar with the necro class, I'm in Kunart gear, and this is Luckland content currently. So my mana pool is not very big. I have all of my 60 spells, and I do have my Ancient Lich, so that definitely does help with the mana regen. My mana pool on this character I think is like 3.9 at the moment, or 3.8. So you definitely want to take into consideration with what spells you're using. I think right after this cast, no, it was the loop before, I did try to put poison on her, and she resisted the poison. Advisor also resisted poison, so if you have a demi cap, don't attempt to use it. If you want to use a life tap, just make sure that it's your direct nuke. Unless you plan on using the duration one, then just make sure that it's a spell. Outside of that, the fight's pretty easy. She's definitely a lot squishier than the Advisor, and trying to get a kedge robe, but obviously we didn't get a kedge robe off of her either, so next time that we get them up, we'll get it.